Good day, everyone, and welcome to the ETQ webinar, ETQ Mars webinar on the sweet success of quality digitization. We have a special guest today, Jana Samson from Mars. He'll be talking us through the Mars quality journey and how Mars puts quality first. Mars is a really fascinating company, huge portfolio of global brands. I will tell you this, even if you don't love peanut M&Ms as much as I do, I guarantee you will interact with the Mars brand far more often than you think you do. So thanks all for coming, I appreciate it. Quick agenda here. I will, again, as I said, Jana Samson is our guest speaker today. She is the Corporate R&D Quality Systems Manager for Mars Inc. I'll let Jana speak a little more about her background when she digs into her portion of the presentation. We'll go through a quick introduction on who ETQ is, what we do, why we're here, how we think about quality, and how we sort of help companies along their quality journey. Then we'll turn it over to Jana, who will talk about the Mars story and their lengthy and quite strategic quality process and quality journey there. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy that. We'll discuss, Jana and I will have a bit of a discussion towards the end there on some of the topics that she's raised that I think may be of value to the folks in the audience. And then we'll certainly have some time for audience Q&A, excuse me, at the end. So encourage you as we're going through this, if you have questions, hit the Q&A button on your Zoom screen, log them in, and we'll take them as we can towards the end, assuming we have time. So once again, thanks all for coming. ETQ has been around for 30 years. The company was originally founded as a consultancy by a couple of underwriter laboratory professionals who saw this thing called ISO 9001 bubbling up in Europe and realized that U.S. companies were going to need some guidance in how to achieve compliance with the ISO 9001 quality standards. The company started originally, as I said, as a consultancy. What the founders soon found out was that companies here didn't want consultants. They wanted somebody to actually do it for them. So the company quickly pivoted to becoming a software company and created ETQ Reliance. ETQ Reliance is a SaaS-based quality management solution that is highly comprehensive. There are some 42 plus applications within the platform that cover everything from document control to supply chain management to nonconformance, audit management, and what have you. It's a very flexible, very scalable system, so it meets you pretty much wherever you are in your quality journey. If you're a smaller company just getting started with maybe one or two facilities, or if you're a great big global company like Mars and some of the others who have manufacturing plants literally around the world and the need to maintain quality across a gigantic footprint. We're here for you wherever you are. We're headquartered here in Boston, Massachusetts. It's where I am. But we have offices in Arizona here in the US and in Ireland, and we've got staff literally around the world in EMEA and Asia, around the globe. We've got about 1 million active users right now in the Reliance system. And as you'll see shortly, they come from industries, a wide variety of industries. In 2022, ETQ was acquired by Hexagon AB. Hexagon is a global manufacturing technology leader, and so we are working closely with them now for the past year and a half about how we see quality, especially digital quality and data-driven quality, how that relates to smart manufacturing and sort of the future of manufacturing. So. Pardon me, a great partnership for us. We're really looking forward to the future, and it should bring really interesting results and new opportunities for our customers as well. As I mentioned, ETQ is a little bit unique in the QMS software space. A number of the other folks who compete here might participate in one or two industries. We're very industry specific or limited. We are literally across the board, and this. Our NASCAR logo slide here, as we call it, basically tells that story. We've got customers from discrete manufacturing, heavy manufacturing, food and bev, pharma, med devices, even some services like CBRE, the commercial real estate organization, airlines, aircraft manufacturers, lots of automotive these days, as quality is Quality's always been important in the automotive world, but it's really evolving, and especially if you look at the rise of electric vehicles. That's changing the way cars are manufactured. It's changing the way companies look at quality and sort of things that they have to consider. And we play in all those fields. We find that we can, even though these are diverse industries, we can take best practices from each one of these discrete industries and apply them to something else. And in fact, we're seeing some industry standards and compliance rubrics are actually migrating from one industry to the other. You might have a standard that was started in, say, the med device industry, which now is being employed by the food and bev industry or by the automotive industry. So there really is there's more cross-pollination to quality management and health and safety as well across industries than you would imagine, and ETQ is part of all of it. So now as you might guess, we take quality management pretty seriously. And for a lot of folks, quality has always sort of been seen as the cop at the end of the manufacturing process that says no, right? It was the sort of the negative hurdle you had to get over to get your product into the market. We take a very, very holistic view of quality that covers the entire product life cycle, from the very beginning, product designing quality in from the start, to working with suppliers. We have a particular strength in supply chain quality. If you look at I've heard statistics where certain manufacturers or many manufacturers will spend, sort of 60, 70, 80% of their manufacturing cost in raw materials and supply chain. Said another way, something like 80% of the value of a final product comes out of the supply chain, so supplier quality is critical to final product quality. Of course, checking quality throughout the entire manufacturing process is critical, and then winding your delivery and logistics aspects, making sure that quality is applied there, so that your products get to market, get to your customers, and are presented in the best possible way that they can. As we'll see in a little bit, ETQ Reliance integrates very closely with a number of other enterprise software platforms, like your customer relationship management software, CRM software, ERP software. Again, all that data, that sales data and sort of all your customer feedback data, that can all be built into your quality management workflow and ecosystem. What that gives you is a closed loop system of continuous improvement, all based on quality, all based on data, all based on the right data being delivered to the right person at the right time throughout this particular life cycle. By putting all of this into a digital platform, preferably in the cloud, which is where we tend to see security is best, scalability is easiest, it's more flexible. You can harmonize your quality processes, standardize your quality processes, and have a level of visibility unprecedented across your entire manufacturing ecosystem, regardless of location, right? So again, for huge companies, large companies that might have manufacturers around the world, you can look at your quality results and processes through a single lens, through a single source of truth, and that is tremendously powerful. It's something you just can't do these days, really, or any day, with a paper-based or SharePoint-based or email-based or what have you quality management system. At ETQ, we believe in something called the quality journey. A lot of companies have journeys these days, and this is the way we view most companies pursue their start to their beginning of their quality process to sort of quality nirvana, transformation one stage. First stage is ignite. This is when you are just getting into quality. You're really sort of starting to defeat the paper monster. We find a lot of companies, even really big companies, I'm always surprised by this. A lot of them come to us with very, very manual processes. As I said, they're sharing things on SharePoint or Google Docs. They're tracking their quality processes through email or what have you. a really tough sled, and something that's absolutely not scalable. It doesn't help you, with any sort of training. Your documents are out of control. God forbid you ever need to be audited at some point. Prepping for audits with entirely manual system is a nightmare. So this is really a sort of good first step for a lot of companies. From there, once you've established your foundation, you start to connect your quality management system and sort of connect it with some other enterprise software platforms like your ERP or your CRM. And you're starting to see a lot of companies will start with something like document control, have some quick successes there, and then sort of move forward into other areas as they're starting to see some results from their quality management program. As you move forward, you can expand beyond sort of your initial footprint in quality and start reaching out to some of your suppliers, inviting your suppliers and your supply chain into your quality management system, and having them, as one of our customers say, come in and play on your field or your pitch, as it were, right? So if you can bring suppliers into your portal, have a much closer connection with them, much more visibility with suppliers, much more control, easier to onboard, all of that sort of stuff, the capabilities of your system increase. And then finally, you're at the transformational stage, where you're using quality really as a strategic competitive advantage. It's no longer just a check mark on a list. It's not the cop at the end of the manufacturing line that tells you no. It is now something that you can really leverage as a competitive advantage, help you improve time to market, help you make decisions faster and more accurately, help you get data to and from people inside the organization beyond the manufacturing sphere, right? Some of your finance folks, your corporate leaders, who need some level of insight into what's happening quality management wise. You've begun probably to start connecting some connected worker applications, right? So you're empowering folks who are on the manufacturing line, who understand this process intimately on a daily basis, empowering them with the technology and the ability to make changes on the fly based on what they're seeing, what's happening on the line, and within certain sort of security parameters that they can modify processes on the fly, and again create that sort of level of continuous improvement that ultimately becomes a business advantage. For you folks who are watching, we've just popped up a quick poll here. It would be very curious if you'd be interested in just telling me where do you think your company is on their particular journey? Are you at the ignite phase, the accelerate phase, expand phase, or transform phase? We'll take a look at those results later. Enough of my little advertisement for ETQ. My pleasure to introduce Jana Samson here from Mars. Jana, as I said, is the Corporate R&D and Quality Systems Manager for Mars. Welcome, and very curious to hear about Mars in general and Mars's quality journey.
Thank you, Chris, and hello everyone. Greetings from the UK. I'm based in the UK. I'm here with my friend Red. So we are both greeting you here. And yes, thank you for the introduction. I will just say my current role indeed is Corporate R&D Quality Systems Manager. And in my role, I am responsible for strategy, governance, and development of the suite of our R&D quality systems capabilities across all our segments, across all our units. And in terms of quality, we talk about inbound and outbound traceability, our core quality management, supplier quality management, and food safety quality management. My background, I have a master's degree from University of Chemical Technology from Prague. So if you wonder about the accent, I'm originally from the Czech Republic. And so what I'm going to do first, before I dive into the quality journey, I will introduce Mars as a company, and I think it's a fantastic company. And I believe you will learn something new today about Mars. So I'll talk about our business and our brands, but before I move to it, a little bit about our beliefs. So we are very principle-based. We have 5 principles at heart. Our principles are quality, responsibility, mutuality, efficiency, and freedom. And we display these principles everywhere. We use them for our decision-making. So very, very important for us. And you've heard well, quality is our first principle. So absolutely, that's very important for us. So Chris, if you can please move to the next one. Okay, so a little bit about who we are and what we do. So we have very diverse and expanding portfolio of products and services. Every day, every year, we delight millions of people and support more than half of the world's pets. We produce some of the world's best known brands, and we create a better world for pets through nutrition, diagnostics, health monitoring, DNA testing, and veterinary care. And it's important how we do that, because the world we want tomorrow starts with how we do business today. So this is really our catchphrase. This is really important for us. Next, please. Thank you. So a little bit about our segments. We have 3 segments. The first one I will talk about is our Mars Pet Care segment. This consists, or this is basically 59% of our total sales. It's a huge segment. It's more than 100,000 employees working, or associates, as we call our employees, working for Mars Pet Care. And we have got 7 billion-dollar brands under the belt of pet care. So you can see them on the screen. They are Pedigree, Royal Canin, Whiskas, Caesar, and then going into our veterinary platform, Banfield Hospitals, VCA, and Blue Peril. Moving on to Mars Snacking. Mars Snacking has 38% share of total sales, and we have got $6 billion brands over there. We have got M&Ms, Snickers, Duff, Extra, and Twix. And you can see also Kind and Nature's Bakery, which is our pretty new addition in our health and well-being platform. So that's part of snacking. And last but not least is our smallest segment, which is food and nutrition, and that's 3% of the total sales. Next, please. Thank you. So in a nutshell, I like this slide because that's basically painting the overall picture. In the nutshell, Mars is a great place to work. We have been selected as a number 82 in the Glassdoor best places to work in 2022. And I've been with Mars for 15 years, and I truly love working here. As a company, we started in 1911, when Frank Mars made his first candy bar in his kitchen, and since then we still stayed private and family owned, and I believe that gives us really that's a little bit different edge in comparison to our competitors. We are in more than 70 countries, and we have got more than 400 sites and 300 veterinary hospitals. In terms of the net sales, it's over $47 billion, and we have got more than 140,000 associates. I've already talked about big brands. You can also see other brands at the bottom for pet care, snacking, and food and nutrition. An interesting fact, our oldest brand is Altoids, and that's been actually invented in 1780, which is incredible. So next, please. Thank you. So we are very proud of our growth, and we celebrate our growth by putting it to good use. So here are a few of the examples what Mars really does at the moment and how we would like to give back and do the right thing. So example is in Royal Canin brand, we plan to achieve the carbon neutral footprint by 2025. We are supporting 14,000 cocoa farmers on the path to a sustainable living income by 2030. Huge success already was that Mars bar has been certified carbon neutral in the UK, Ireland, and Canada. It was January this year. very exciting campaign is Hope Growth by Shiba, and this is to restore more than 185,000 square meters of the coral reef. And then we have also plans to invest in diverse suppliers, more than $1 billion by 2025, and a little bit different approach for Ben's Original. This is a fund which is called Seat at the Table, and it's offering more than 300 food carrier scholarships to drive diversity in the industry. So this was a little bit to share how we put it in good use. So if you can go on the next slide, please. This slide talks about one of, another very exciting program or plan. And this is multi-billion-dollar investment to benefit our business and society. This is called Sustainable Intergeneration Plan. And it has 3 pillars. You can see them on the screen. It is healthy planet, nourishing well-being, and thriving people. And we don't try to do things, we don't do things which are easy. We would like to do things which are right. So this is science-based, and it's aligned with the United Nations Sustainability Plan as well. So in terms of healthy planet, our focus in here would be into deforestation, like stopping deforestation, sustainable fish supply. We have got things like, the water stewardship and, these programs. In the nourishing well-being, it's about innovating pipeline and marketing our products in the way that helps people. And, this is, for example, we would like to make sure that the marketing is responsible. We would like to make sure there is food safety and security. And the last pillar is about thriving people. And this is about significantly improving working lives of millions of people in our extended supply chain. This is about making sure that there is great income for the people, and also giving opportunities to women. So this was really about introducing the company. And I will now move to a little bit of our quality journey. So this is our last, I would say, 20 years of the journey. And I would believe that many of you can probably very much, align with what we have experienced in terms of changes, challenges, and big steps over the last 20 years. And this is about a lot of it is linked to digital changes. So I will start back in about 2004, and this is about really centralizing and addressing burning platforms. There were significant quality failings internally, but also for our external, for our external partners and peers. And this really led into focus on centralized quality, and our global, now called corporate quality and food safety team has been established back then, which was followed later on by establishment of the global segments. And this really helped us to focus on where do we have gaps, fix the foundations, or fix the glaring gaps if there were any, and really focus on burning platforms. So then moving on, I would say 5 years later, or kind of the journey from then to about 2009, I would call that one about a shift from reactive to preventative quality and food safety. And, this was marked by increasing external pressures from regulators, consumers, and clients, the increase of, powers of social media. You cannot hide, if something happens in Australia to your brand, the next day or in next hour, everyone around the world knows. It's very important that actually you really focus on the quality and food safety of your products and your services. So about the time we really kind of started our standardization program, we standardized first food safety. We focused on the food safety, and we are not reinventing the wheel. We are obviously basing this on the regulatory requirements, on the external standards, but we add something more to it, which makes it more Mars way. So we were focusing on the standardization. We also established our portfolio of leading and lagging indicators, which are basically metrics we report quarterly to our board and to also Mars leadership team. And this is happening still these days. So we have still the key portfolio of metrics, which are the key indicators which really say green light, amber, red, and focusing on what's important. We started our verification program. So we started with the external company who is verifying on annual basis the compliance to the basically QMS system to ISO 9001. And it has grown over the years from our, focusing on manufacturing side to now really doing audits of manufacturing side, business units, segments, and also Mars Inc. Our Mars Inc. unit is also certified annually based on our quality requirements. And last but not least, at that point, we have got engaged with ETQ. So we have started our digital journey as well. So we needed a system which would help us to provide a good visibility and global, like one global language for our quality portfolio. So we have started with the Reliance system, and we started with the core, the document control, CAPA, or for example, auditing, nonconformance management. So we started then. Moving on to like the next 5 years into culture of continuous improvement. So there was journey, obviously, what I have mentioned, has been developing and expanding. And we moved really from kind of food safety into really certifying quality. We have moved into, having some, we started doing some advanced analytics and starting to be the learning organization, learning from what we have collected as a data over time. Where we are today, I would say we are now in the middle of evolution, and digitalization, and kind of really continuous digitalization. But we are also looking, obviously, on the evolution and on the kind of journey from last 15 to 20 years and how we can stay current and how we can really evolve further. So we have got our standardization, but we are looking how can we make it better? How can we make it really more relevant as well to all of the sides? We are looking at our portfolio of the digital tools, which we have the digital backbone. We have it all kind of developed, but actually, how do we make sure that we connect it all, that it's all seamlessly connected, integrated, and automated? So going forward, where we would like to go and where we would like to be, we would like to go into digitalized end-to-end quality. And this is really to connect it, sometimes our siloed systems, into one big end-to-end quality integrated system. And I have mentioned there sustainability and artificial intelligence. That's really something which actually everyone can focus on or relate to, because we are all impacted and influenced by all these technological advances, and also what is needed to do for our planet and the people. So I think, Chris, this is probably all I wanted to mention on the quality journey. So back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fascinating story, as I said, a really interesting company, and you guys are on a heck of a journey. I'm really intrigued by where you are headed in the future in terms of the use of data and breaking down silos. Can we talk a little bit more about the importance of data and the importance of getting data to the right people, either in terms of how that helps you achieve compliance, or supports business planning, gets to better decisions faster? Can we talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So do you want me to just talk to the topic, or do you have any particular question?
No, that was just my framing question.
Perfect. Okay. Well, there were a few questions I can actually cover. So you mentioned the importance of data, and absolutely so important. So I will start with the availability of data and availability of global data for a company like us. You know, back when we started the journey, we didn't have a system which would be connecting or which would be displaying and showing us the performance and data for all our units across the globe. And we didn't have the visibility. We work in silos, and we worked in silos. So now with ETQ Reliance, we are able to capture years of data for different capabilities, and really be a learning organization by looking into are we improving? Are there any kind of clear trends we need to address? But also, how can we really promote quality to our management? Because quality is really visible when it goes badly. When it goes wrong, you can really see that. If it goes well and smoothly, it's a little bit under the radar. And it's really important to be able to really promote the quality and importance of investing into quality to your management, because without that, the quality will go bad, because there will be less investment for it.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Not to interrupt you, but I mean, I think that's a really critical question, and I hear this from a lot of customers as well too. Again, it's sort of getting quality to rise to the C-suite, rise to the exec level, as you said, and get that management buy-in. What sort of things, bad quality aside, or bad quality incidents aside, what sort of things appeal to management to say, okay, this is something we are going to invest in. This is worthwhile.
Yeah. So I learned that hard way as well, but also when you talk to certain level of managers, they talk certain language. So I think you need to give them two things. You need to talk the finances, and you have to give them the story, compelling story. So for all of your projects, and it's quite difficult for quality, because often we don't earn money, we don't make money with quality, we only prevent to have actually losses. But how do you actually provide return on investment with your quality investments? But how do you make sure that you gain money or you save money? So you have to be able to really explain that return on investment when you are presenting your projects. So I think that's one thing. The second thing I think it's really important is the overall story. So as a company, we have got objectives, and the objectives are usually, especially as a big company with an overarching objective, that might be quite generic. But you have to be able, with your story, to tell them, this is how I'm going to help you to achieve your objective. So sell them the story of, how you are going to help them. And I think we have to provide a vision, which is, let's say, 10 years from now, this is where I want to be with my quality, with the quality for the company. But then if you go into your 1 to 3 years roadmap, provide clear stepping stones, how you are going to achieve that overall target in 10 years time. So I think that's really about the story, and about how, the money you are going to save for the company. I think that's important.
That's great. And speaking in their language, right? Speaking in the language of business as opposed to quality or manufacturing.
Absolutely.
Interesting stuff. I'm going to cheat a little bit here, because you were with us at our user conference in Las Vegas this year, and I got to watch some of the video Q&A you did there. And you brought up a phrase in Las Vegas called farm to fork, and what farm to fork quality means. And I've seen in some of your background too. It's interesting. I mean, you're especially given some of the sustainability and the sort of cultural support things that you're doing too. Explain to me what exactly farm to fork quality means for Mars.
Absolutely. And so I mentioned quality is very important for us. The other thing I will mention is that quality is personal. Before I go to farm to fork, quality is very personal, because we are also consumers and users of our products and services. So you always try to do what's right for your kids, for your pets, for your family. So you really want to know what the product is, but also where it came from. what are the ingredients which came to it, and actually how those ingredients were harvested, who was actually farming those ingredients, for example. So I think this is really sort of underpinning also the farm to fork, because as a company, it's not only about the manufacturing process, because your product is actually also the ingredients and also your journey after it is manufactured and it's on the way to the customer. So farm to fork is really about visibility of the farmers, knowing the manufacturers of the raw ingredients. It's not only about the traders who are selling you the stuff. You want to know really the start of it and be able to trace it. And then you go on the other side, which is when you manufacture, and that's where you are in control. Then you go into our logistic service providers, the warehouses, and the logistic companies who are shipping your product. You want to make sure that the quality of those services is not going to damage your product. That means also your brand. And so we have very rigorous program on onboarding suppliers and managing suppliers. And this is really for suppliers of raws, packs, external manufacturers, the logistic service providers, and premia. So all of that is really what we would like to focus on. All of that is part of our brands, right? So I think that's really important that we know it all. And we have we really mean it, because it's really important for us. There were some incidences in the past, high profile, visible, not from our company, but I think that's happening across the board, where things happened, but the company was not able to trace them properly. It took a long time. It took days. It's not acceptable. And we had this, in the past, that we had some issues, and for very complex markets, it was really difficult to trace the product quickly. So we have done a 4-year program called Traceability Transformation, which has been a huge investment. It's been 4 years, as I mentioned, and it's integration or orchestration of multiple systems, including Reliance, to be able to trace your products and your even semi-finished products and your kind of products out there in the market within 4 hours from announcing there was an incident. So wow. It's a huge thing, and it's really important to know where things are to stop it and to actually really address it.
That's fantastic. Enormously critical too, as you said earlier. When something happens on one side of the world, it becomes news on the other side of the world within a matter of hours. So it's that level of speed is fantastic. Tell me, does this also, or does digitizing your quality process, does it help with selecting, onboarding, and sort of continuously managing your suppliers as well too?
Absolutely. So we use ETQ Reliance for management of our suppliers and for onboarding of our suppliers. So you, Chris, were talking about flexibility of Reliance, and we have definitely leveraged that, because we like things our way. We are a little bit special sometimes, and we would like to kind of do things our way. And so we have developed a module which is called Supplier and Material Qualification, and in there it's a Mars process, but it's supported by the module of ETQ. And in there, we are able to, onboard supplier, kind of really understand, based on our standards, what is the sort of checklist of information which needs to be completed, what are the different stages of the onboarding, and afterwards basically have the right approvals and be able to kind of sign them off for production. But what's also really important is that this allows us to look at shared suppliers, and I believe this is not just Mars. I think that's very common across companies. We share supplier within our segments, but also across segments. If you think about sugar supplier or salt, it can be used in all of our products. So we share one supplier across multiple segments or units. And if you manage the supplier and onboard supplier, you don't want to do things twice. You don't want to, reinvent the wheel. You would like to see what has been done already. Has the supplier been onboarded? What is their audit? Who is, we have owner of the supplier. So all the units can see their audits, all the units can see are there any corrective actions like against this supplier, any non-conformances. So this tool and this system, Reliance system, is really helping us to capture all this information, be able to have visibility across all our units, which is breaking the silos, meaning that there is visibility, communication, and we are able to kind of address things quickly. Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. You had mentioned using some of the processes that are built on Reliance that are not necessarily straight Reliance apps or straight out of the box. Talk to me a little bit, if you could, about how that sort of flexibility is important, the kinds of things that you've been able to do with Reliance as the base technology.
Yeah. As I mentioned, we are special, right? So we have kind of over time, like in the past, we kind of looked at homegrown systems, and that's not always we are not software company. We should do things we do best, and that's not building a software. Obviously there might be some exceptions, but for software of this size, this is not what we should be doing. So we should get company like ETQ to help us with this. But then at the same time, we need flexibility, because our standards, as I mentioned, are built on the external standards, but they are a little bit changed. So the out-of-the-box solutions from some of the software companies will not work for us. And what's really great with the flexibility of Reliance is that you can actually take the existing toolbox and you can sort of build your own modules, which are then supported. So obviously there are limits of what you can do in terms of you don't want to go completely crazy with like what you are developing. That's we learned also hard way that we cannot do that. But we have things like line trial, R&D line trial management module, for example. That's our homegrown or developed process, which we actually done in Reliance, and that really helped us to do things, digitalize things for our units, which are really typical and Mars and important for them.
I'm going to sort of combine. I'm sitting here as we're talking, discussing. I'm looking at some of the questions that have come from the audience as well too, and I'm seeing several on quality culture, or the culture of quality. I'm going to sort of try to combine a couple of the questions that I'm seeing here from the audience Q&A with sort of a general sense of what the quality culture within Mars in. Specifically, one person was asking, how do you manage change, right? How do you manage behavior? If the quality department says this is something we need to do, when you're getting a sense of either intransigence or not, or lack of interest or what have you, or disengagement from somebody else, how do you manage that behavior? How do you, I guess, build that culture of quality where everybody sees this as important and part of their role?
Absolutely. So one thing is that the quality is our first principle. So people across departments, that's a shared principle. So across departments, we aim to do the best and kind of do quality job. So at the end of the day, if you go into like, is this kind of aligned with the quality principle, that's your bottom line. And that's kind of non-negotiable. But I think one thing which helps as well, of course, people, people have different needs. People, businesses, different businesses have different needs. I mentioned, we have pet manufacturing. We have got chewing gums. We have got chocolate. So different, right? But there are things which are non-negotiables. And what helps is to have data. And so I think data take emotions out of decision making. So if you really go into difficult conversation, get your data and help to paint the picture why this is important. We have got obviously external standards, which gives us some framework. And then we have our internal data and learnings to say maybe why we want to actually build something extra on the top of that. But at the end of the day, we listen very much to our segments because we don't want to be ivory tower, and we are not ivory tower in the corporate function. We are very dependent on the segments. We don't make any money. You know, they are our businesses. They are in charge, really. So we are here in service of what they do. And at the end of the day, you know, if something is not in service of the segments would like to achieve, we should not be doing this.
Makes sense. People are responsible for making it happen, right? The technology can only take us so far, but you've got to keep people passionate.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, you know, one thing about what you mentioned, and sorry, I don't even ask for a question, but one thing you mentioned actually just triggered something when we talk about data and when you talk about people. I think one important thing is that we nowadays, we have lots of data, but that's not enough, right? People are very important, because often I hear the system doesn't work, but it's not about the system, because the system works as we design it. Yes, there might be issue, but most of the time it's about people are not trained enough. They don't use it correctly. It's not deployed, or we have issue with the master data. So there are elements which needs to be in place to be able to really gather that data we are trusting, and you know, the system we are trusting as well. So I think that's really important, because system on its own, it's not going to resolve it all. It's actually a combination of elements we need to put in that mix to be successful.
Great point. Do you use the QMS for training purposes? Is that?
We don't actually. So we don't use the training module. We really use ETQ Reliance for you know, multiple modules, but we don't use the analytical tools, and we don't use the training. And that's also because we have got we are trying to align with the different platforms we have across other departments. So for example, if we would, you know, talk about training, we have our Mars University, and that's across all the departments. And the ETQ Reliance is really more for R&D and supplier quality assurance. So not everyone at Mars uses ETQ. We have got 10,000 users, active users of Reliance. In comparison to 140,000 of employees. Obviously, you know, we don't have everyone using it.
We'll get there eventually.
Absolutely, conquering it, right? Conquering the world.
It's good to have goals. All right, we've got about 15 more minutes. I'm going to go to some of the audience questions, if you don't mind. First question I love. With such a diverse product line that varies from veterinary products to hospitals, food and snacks, how does quality keep up with all of the applicable regulations and updates worldwide and communicate those?
Absolutely. So I think to be very fair, the veterinary business is quite specific, and we don't necessarily, they are not necessarily included in the Reliance usage at the moment, but the rest, like the pet nutrition, Royal Canin I mentioned, which is quite, you know, another division, and all of the snacking and food, they are using Reliance. And you know, when we talk about the standards at the moment, what we have are based on the external standards. So we have got HACCP, we have got you know, ISO 9001, we have got other, you know, standards. Basically, we are basing our standards on the external standards because that's what's necessary. And then we learn from the, as I said, incidents, and also kind of how do we want to manage supplier, etc. This is all of our standards have been developed in connection with segments. So we always include people from segments in the projects to be able to really have the users and the experts on the particular topic when we standardize. Of course, the standards are revised on a regular basis, and we are now kind of, when I said we are doing evolution and looking at the evolution of quality, we are now looking at how shall we approach it further, and what is the best way how to approach it further. So we are definitely taking into consideration the fact that our segments are you know, need more autonomy in, you know, creating their own standards as well, or really kind of managing what's special for them. So some things we are not claiming we know how to do veterinary, because kind of the central, it doesn't have that expertise at the moment. But the next stage is really to understand what are the core elements which really are focusing on what should be aligned across this huge portfolio, and what are the elements which don't have to be aligned across that portfolio and can be actually managed within the segments and divisions. So yeah, I think it's a kind of divide and conquer. Do it, you know, something at the core, and something kind of by the experts, which would make sense.
What somebody here wants to know what your top 3 quality management challenges have been for, say, the past 5 years.
Top 3 quality challenges. So I am mainly focused on the digital, because that's kind of where my focus is. So I will talk about it a little bit, and I have mentioned it already a little bit. So one element would be to we don't mandate, and it sounds strange, but we don't mandate the systems. We mandate the standards. We develop the standard, we standardize, and then the system is how you do that. So of course we develop it with, you know, alongside with the segments, and then afterwards we would sort of then we will launch it, and they will use it, and they do use it. But I think really what we need to focus on is the full deployment, and because then we can focus on certain elements where we can drive really the improvement. So full deployment and training of users. The other challenge I would say is master data. So, you know, we have acquired many businesses over time, you know, so the portfolio is therefore so diverse, and with the different kind of businesses come different way how they do master data, how they do systems. So kind of this element of how do we include kind of new companies, and how do we actually align the master data? It's challenging. And the third one, and I think we have been sort of addressing it now, is really how to really help the quality to really, you know, how we show the quality needs that investment, how we really make sure that we invest in quality to prevent failures in the future. And one of my previous managers, who was very inspirational, had this way to say it. He said that was the pendulum, which basically swings. And so you know, if you have issue, you invest too much. I mean, can you invest too much? You probably can. You over invest into quality, and then you kind of become complacent because it's all fine. So then the pendulum swings on the other side, and then you have the failure. And so you actually don't want the pendulum to swing. You want to be in the middle, kind of nice and stable. So I think that's the sweet spot. How do we have the sweet spot so we don't over invest, but then also we don't have the failures? I think that's a challenge, ongoing challenge.
Interesting. Somebody else is asking, and I think this is an interesting point too, given what you just said, the diversity of brands and product lines and what have you, that Mars brings to market. Is there a way that you can sort of leverage the data between the product lines? Because the data you're getting out of the VCA hospitals, of which another VCA client here online, and my dog has been going to a VCA hospital too for as long as we've had it for 10 years. So the type of data that you get from each of your product lines, is there a way to sort of harmonize that, or are there elements that you can take from each one of the various product lines that sort of help improve?
Absolutely. I think there is sort of a vision to have obviously visibility. You know, if you think about it, these portfolios are really sort of talking to each other. So, you know, we have got hospitals, we have got veterinary practices, and then we have got specialist food products, for example, Royal Canin, which is very specialized for different breeds, or if your dog or cat has different, you know, issues. So of course, you know, the data from the hospitals can help with certain developments of the product lines. We also have pet centers where we kind of, you know, when you have a claim on the product which says this will improve a shine on the fur of your pet, you cannot just put it on there. You have to have data to support it. So so we have got like feeding trials, and all these things feed into each other. The feeding trials, right? Anyway, so so absolutely, I think the big kind of plan is to be able to leverage data, big data, and understand how we can improve the big data, thanks to big data, kind of understand how we can improve our product lines and address the needs of the customers and our pet parents.
Great stuff. Question here. Somebody is wondering whether or not we've talked about in the ETQ portion of this, talking about connected worker and using mobile devices to keep the connected workers connected to the ecosystem. Is Mars using either our mobile app or any sort of mobile technology to connect your frontline workers or your workers on the manufacturing floor or at the hospitals to sort of provide data input?
Yeah, so so we are on the journey with ETQ. As I mentioned, we started in 2009. So we have been sort of, we are the dinosaur of the clients of ETQ. And so with that, we kind of are about to actually upgrade currently. So we are on like older version, and we will be upgrading to a newer version. So some of the elements ETQ is providing, we don't, like a connected worker, for example, we don't have it available at the moment. But we use things like cloud portal, so Reliance cloud portal for communication to our suppliers, so the suppliers can connect to the cloud to work on their corrective action, so they don't have to, you know, we don't do that via email, but we have it, you know, that's connectivity we have done a few years ago. So we have kind of that seamless sort of communication between the Mars person, Mars employee, and the supplier employee on the corrective action. And that's, I think we calculated, saves like 2 minutes per transactions, which that's how you talk to your management to say, this is, I need money, it's 2 minutes per transaction, therefore this much. So yeah, but we don't at the moment. So one challenge I think is you know, about digitalization. Because we have so many, because we are so used to digitalization and kind of digital and smart tools in our own personal lives, we have mobile phones, we have everything is smart, we have app for everything. We sort of assume this is actually happening in the big businesses or everywhere as well. But this is our driver for digitalization. We would like to have the same in the company. There is no reason why our employees need to do like a paper, like a filling in papers. We definitely want to become paperless. We want to have smart factories which are feeding data into your overall, you know, systems. So that's the journey we are on. We are not there yet, but it's the journey, absolutely. And you know, the leveraging of automation and artificial intelligence, absolutely. You know, we are not there yet, but it's where we would like to be.
We will take that journey together, Jana. It's fantastic stuff. Just out of curiosity, give me, if you can, a little bit about like your process. I mean, how did you, before we were lucky enough to become your client or your provider, what was the decision-making process to get to that point? I mean, how did you not necessarily land on ETQ, but how did you sort of go through that process for anybody in the audience who might be
well, I think that would not be very standard process these days, but this was actually quite interesting story, because it was sort of discovered by our associates in United States. They basically thought, oh, you know, this is a great new tool. I think at that point, 2009, 8, 9, I don't think ETQ has been that big. So we are one of the, you know, early customers, I think, probably. Yeah. But at that point, you know, they brought this in and really showed how easy it is to build, they started building it without actually having IT knowledge at that point. And so it has become like the regional tool. And because we were looking for something like that within Mars Inc., we were really kind of very impressed by the flexibility and kind of what the tool can do. So because we started from region, we had to go back on some things to actually align, like some data elements and some of the kind of initial setups. But originally it started in a segment in a region.
Great stuff. Appreciate it. We are just about out of time here. Jana, thank you very much. I have thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with you. Thank you to everyone who joined the webinar today. We got some really excellent questions here. We did not get to all of them, and I apologize for that. We will make an effort to perhaps answer some of these offline. For those of you who are tuned in here, please, if you're looking for more information, feel free to go to www.etq.com. There's all sorts of quality management resources. There's stories from other customers like Jana who have taken the quality journey. Maybe there's something that in their journey that you can see in yours. All sorts of information there as well too. Jana, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it, and look forward to meeting you in person someday.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Cheers.